Good morning, everyone. My name is Ajibola Amzat, and I'm the editor at the International Center for Investigative Reporting here in Abuja. Today, we're going to be talking to a topic, an issue that we have been reporting about in the last 1 week or so. It's about prominent Nigerians who own properties in Dubai. I would like to find out whether this is an investment or corruption enrichment. Of course, you will recollect that Dubai, the largest city in the United Arab Emirates, has been identified as haven for illicit financial flow, especially for those who want to invest in real estate without leaving a trace. The ICIR recently obtained a document from the Center for Advanced Defense Studies in the United States. And that document shows hundreds of Nigerians novel rich who own properties in Dubai. The detail is captured in a series of reports that we have been publishing in the last 4 or 5 days. And we would like to make a caveat here that owning properties in Dubai is not a proof that all the Nigerians mentioned in our reports are corrupt, although a number of them are, no doubt. But the ownership property in a city identified as haven for illicit financial flow is an indicator that any of the politically exposed Nigerians possess unexplained wealth. Today, we'll be talking about this newly acquired taste for Dubai property by some prominent Nigerians. And some of them are politicians, some are public servants, and some are businessmen, some are royalties, and of course, their families. Discussing the topic with me today is a spokesperson of the Independent Corrupt Practices Commission, ICPC, Mrs. Ogugua Chinelo. Ms. Ogugua, good morning, you are welcome.
Thank you very much. It is Ogugua Chinelo Ogugua. Ogugua is the surname.
Sorry, I didn't hear you very well.
Okay, I said the name is Ogugua Chinelo Ogugua.
Oh, Ogugua. Oh, I'm so sorry about that.
Ogugua is the surname. No, it's all right.
Okay. Ms. Ogugua Chinelo Ogugua, you're welcome, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
You and I were talking before we started this live conversation that you are supposed to be meeting with others who are going to be discussing this issue with us. I'm talking about Dr. Aliyu Wamako, who is the president of the Real Estate Developers Association of Nigeria. Dr. Wamako has some delay, I believe. I hope he's going to join us anytime soon. We're also supposed to be having a conversation with the spokesperson for the EFCC, but he also has not joined us yet. So, I mean, well, he said that he won't be able to join us because of some issues in our office. So we are hoping that Dr. Wamako will join us and then he will be part of this conversation. But before he does that, I'm going to shoot the first question to you, Ms. Ogugua. And your mission statement, I'm talking about the ICPC now, is to rid Nigerians of corruption through lawful enforcement and preventive measures. And I would like to know, is ICPC concerned also with cross-border flow of ill-gotten funds? Because this money that we're talking about, the buying of properties in Dubai, actually fits into cross-border flow of illicit fund. Does your mandate cover that as well?
Okay, thank you very much, Ajibola. Thank you for having ICPC on board. I had hoped, like I said earlier, for a more robust conversation, but since the others are not here, we'll just go ahead. You are right on point on our mission statement to rid Nigeria of corruption using lawful enforcement and preventive measures. It means getting rid of corruption in Nigeria, actually, like you just said. But the scope, you are you are asking me to define the scope. Of course, if we have to rid Nigeria of corruption, we have to look at Nigerians all over the world and all those who have to do business with Nigeria. So of course, it is cross-border. So our scope is, yes, if people steal from Nigeria and take it across the border, then every country reasonably should be interested. ICPC in particular is very interested in illicit financial flows, which broadly defined is money, you can define it as money illegally made and taken out of the country, which is laundered, or money actually legally made in Nigeria, but illegally transferred out of the country. And ICPC is actually the secretariat of the interagency task team on illicit financial flows, which is chaired by the senior special advisor to the president on economic affairs, Dr. Yemi Diporu. I don't know whether I called it very well. So ICPC is the secretariat. So there is no way we will not be interested in illicit financial flows. We have the whole thing. There is an interagency task team looking at how people move money out of Nigeria. So we are very much interested in all that cross-border. And well, since I'm alone, let me just say everything at once. I might well use this opportunity to let you know, just this Wednesday, we had the presentation of a report of illicit financial flows in the oil and gas sector. We did this, Dr. Dipolu was there and some other technocrats and people from NATI and all the interagency team, and they spoke very clearly on what is going on in the oil and gas sector, how money leaves that sector using various channels. And next week, this 3rd of March, we are going to have another discussion on another report, a similar report on illicit financial flows, a report on taxes through tax evasion. So this we are going to do with, of course, FIRS is involved. So ICPC is involved in any aspect of corruption and what people do with the proceeds of corruption and making sure that the assets that are taken away from the country are repatriated back to the country. We need it to develop here. We don't even have enough. So the little we have, we're interested in making sure it remains in the country. And not only remains in the country, it is utilized in the right way to develop the country. So it is our core mandate. So your question is answered right there. We are very much interested in repatriating illicitly transferred funds back to Nigeria and using it for our own development.
So some of the feedback that we got in the reports that we published from our readers is that, well, ICPC actually has arrested and tried and prosecuted and got the court to convict some of the people involved in corruption. But those are small-time crooks that the big shots are hardly taken by you for some reasons. I don't know whether you want to talk to that.
Well, all I can say is that I don't know who the small-time crooks are and who the big shots are. And right now, I don't want to say much about that because I didn't go into the case studies of cases we are handling there. There is a lot of interagency work going on, like I said. There is no one agency, and you can quote me on this, there is no one agency that can effectively block illicit financial flows from Nigeria. It has to take an interagency team. So when an interagency team is working, when we realize that, look, if, you know, it's like when you have a big pipe of water gushing out and you put your finger to stop it, of course it will still leak out. But when everybody, many people put their fingers, put their hands, we can block it better. So when you say, oh, ICPC, we are catching the small ones, maybe that's the extent of our finger. But we're telling you that this interagency tax team is like putting several fingers together, several hands, palms, big palms, everything together, that Nigeria is like throwing the best of Nigeria at illicit financial flows. And we are succeeding. So it's not just about ICPC as an agency, it's about the interagency force trying to just stop these flows outside the country.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great thing that you talk about the interagency collaboration and all that, but it's also part of the concerns that many people, express, that it appears there's no such very effective collaboration among the agencies that are fighting corruption, and that is why the result has not been outstanding as one should expect.
There is a very, very much serious collaboration. What appears, it's like when you are far from a situation, you don't know what is really going on. Many people speak from a situation of being very far from what we are doing. They just say, we are not working together, we are competing with EFCC and all that. I mean, there is no need for competition. There is room enough in the sky for all the birds to fly. So there is enough room for everybody. And it is that collaboration that is helping each and every one of us make the little impact we are making. Without collaboration, how much can EFCC achieve on its own? How many are they compared to the population of the country? How many is ICP? How many staff do we have on ground? So we have to work together, not just ICPC. We have to incorporate other agencies that work in these areas, like the customs. When you talk about things like our channels of revenue, like the ports, you have to work with the port agencies, the customs. You have to work with all these agencies. So if you say we are not cooperating, if we're not cooperating, you will not see anything at all. Nothing. But it's the little cooperation that we are doing that has helped us, so that when we in ICPC, and we always say this, when we in ICPC get cases that are not our cases, that are not cases under our mandate, and cases that are outside the scope of what we do, we channel it to the right agency. Well, the thing is this, people send all kinds of cases to ICPC, even land disputes between brothers and domestic issues. You will be surprised. So when cases like that come, people report all manners of cases. You send them to police, to the right FIRS, to whichever agency regulates that sector. And if it has to go to EFCC, it goes to EFCC. EFCC sends cases to us. If we don't do that, we will not be able to cope with the volume of work that we get. And even as it is, the volume of work is much. The petitions that come in, and then the ones that we get by our own intelligence, even as a result of preventive actions, because sometimes when you go to study systems and do some preventive work, you see there are cases that need enforcement. You have to flag those. You have to flag those for enforcement action. You can't just leave them like that. So all these are the various ways we work together. We can't achieve anything without cooperation. It feels we just can't achieve anything without
cooperation. Okay, I'm going to take you a little bit back to what you said before now, talking about catching the small crooks and leaving the big fish out of the net. I don't know whether you've gotten a chance to look at our report. And in the last 3-4 days now, there are some names that we've cataloged in that report. And of course, some of them have been, some Nigerians that were mentioned in that report have been convicted. I'm talking of people like the former Inspector General of Police, Tafa Balogun, and people like the former spokesperson of the PDP, Mr. Olisa Metu, and all that. Those are the people that have been caught by the long hands of the law. But there are many other big Nigerians that are, some things have been said about them regarding corruption. How does ICPC take on those kinds of individuals?
Okay, thank you for those reports. It was really interesting reading. It was really enlightening too, because I knew some of the people, I knew the cases, but I didn't know much about those assets that were disclosed from your own investigative journalism. And we appreciate such intelligence, information. But I don't know how to put this now. Like you started off saying this, you said at the beginning that there is nothing that stops any Nigerian, right, from owning property outside the country. It's their life, if they have the money, if they've made the money. But when you are talking about public service, public servants, civil servants, who have a limited source of income, which is known, which can be verified, then you have a little challenge. First of all, the law says that is the Code of Conduct Bureau. You shouldn't have an account outside the country. If you do have, maybe because you studied abroad or something, you declare it. So there is the issue of transparency. You should declare it. You don't go opening an account when you're in service and all that. And then the issue of acquisition of property now comes in. When was the property acquired? You have to ask certain questions beyond that. Because what I'm trying to establish now is that you do your investigative journalism, and it is just that you give us reports, but we can't, with all due respect, sir, we can't take your reports to court. We can't take it anywhere, because if we have to challenge this, we have to do our own investigations further. We have to take it from our own angles. In as much as yours is a very well-written report, which shows that you did your homework, but we can't take it anywhere. We have to take it from the aspect of, will this thing stand up under the weight of the law? Even the people that have been convicted and all that. So why they were convicted is probably because they saw that there is no way they could explain the income they used to acquire that. Because if as a public servant, for instance, I'm not supposed to have an account, a foreign account, then how could I have acquired the property? Because most of these countries, and Dubai, for instance, they don't just buy, you know, the way we do in Nigeria, carry the cash and go and deposit. There is mortgage and all these facilities. So you need to have an account. So how did you get about this? So if we have to investigate, we have to dig deeper into that. Now, talking with my colleagues, because I did a bit of research about what we do, I found that I won't say about what we are doing, about those people in particular, or what we did with those people in particular. I can't speak about that now. But what we generally are concerned about is if we have intelligence, usually this intelligence comes up when you're even investigating another case, something comes up which you flag. We can either schedule it for investigation, or we alert our sister agency to see what they can do. Because by and large, we have this mutual legal assistance, not just within the country, also outside the country. So we relate with others, but we schedule our work. Because if we take on every case that comes to us, we won't be able to cope. And that's just a fact. That's just a fact.
Well, I mean, I'm glad to say that the ICIR, has worked with the ICPC in the past, and we're still willing to work with the ICPC even now. And I want to point you to a point that you made about it's only those ones who are working in public service for whom you can determine their salaries and know that, okay, this one couldn't have earned so much to be able to afford this kind of luxury building. And that these are the people who are not expected to have accounts outside Nigeria. And I want to specifically point you to one of the individuals that we identify in our report, and to get your reaction as to how ICPC is like to treat that kind of a person. I'm talking about a judge in Lagos by name Adedayo Adeola Akintoye. He's the judge of the Criminal Division of Lagos State High Court, whom we found to have owned a luxury flat that is worth several millions of naira in Dubai. And when we did the calculations of the salaries of high court judges in Nigeria, they are not up to, the salary is not up to $2,000 per month. The spokesperson of the National Judicial Council, Mr. Sojioye, who spoke to a sister newspaper, said that, well, they could not attend to that kind of case because a query has to be triggered first. And I mean, a petition has to be filed before they can query the judge. And I would like to find out from you, does ICPC also need a petition to begin an investigation into this kind of issue when we have already provided all the details that you require?
like you said, like I told you earlier, you have done your investigation. You haven't provided all the details. So what you have is the information with which to write a very detailed petition. And if you could write that petition, we don't need to wait. Do you understand? We don't need to wait. But like I told you before, we schedule our investigation. So it's not like it is going to, even if you write a petition now, we are going to just jump into it. We don't work on an ad. We have to have a sort of system. If not, we'll be running up all over the country, attending to petitions. Even if you write a petition, you know what people usually do? They write a petition. After 2 weeks, they will send a petition all over the internet. We wrote to ICPC and they've done nothing about it. And then it's like they're not working. You know, we can't really, to do a good job, you don't jump all over the place. It needs to be thorough. So if you have the facts that you have, it's not out of place to write a petition. That is what we tell Nigerians to do. And an agency like yours, an organization such as yours, who has all this information, when you write, you even give us more information which to start. Or if you say, oh, go about it, it's already intelligence, it's out there, go about it. Well, I'm not going to give you any assurance. It's not that we are going to jump on it. We're already partnering, like you said, but honestly, we give attention to every Nigerian. So there are other petitions lined up, already scheduled for investigation, which we are not going to dump. I don't know whether you understand what I'm saying. So that's just what I'm going to say about this, because it's not as if we don't give attention to things that Nigerians bring. There are so many things coming up. We are tracking projects like in the country right now. And I want to just give you a scenario. People know we are tracking these constituency projects, for instance. And because they know we are tracking constituency projects, we have selected some states. We have selected some projects in those states, because it's not everything in education, health, and agric sector. Well, you see people knowing that we're doing this, we tell us, oh, there's a constituency project in my place. So we get a lot of petitions on that constituency project. We will generally just say, thank you, we have received it, and schedule it. Because if we leave the states in which we are working, we will not have enough hands. We will spread ourselves too thin, trying to run all over the country instead of concentrating on our focus states. So in the same way, this is a big issue. And you have all these details. We encourage all our partners. It's not anything. You are already this big. Write a petition. You can write to EFCC, you can write to ICPC, you can write to Code of Conduct, you can write to NJC and NJC. So you can write to all those people and let them do their thorough investigation. It is only when they do their thorough investigation, because public service is very, very bureaucratic. Yeah, that's the word. It's very structured. If things don't go the normal way and you miss a step, you can send somebody packing, terminate the appointment, and they'll take you to court because of the technicalities of the process. You didn't give a query. And as much as that sounds very, why we have found that the person, you did not give a query. You did not give the person the right to respond. First instance, before you took your decision. And when you give a query, there is a number of days after the query that you're supposed to act, take your final decision. So you can't give me a query like say today, and then 6 months down the line, you say, oh yes, we have decided you're guilty, we terminate you. I'll not say no. The rules say you should decide on my case in 90 days. So why is it taking you 180 days? So the whole case can be thrown out for that technicality. So that's why when it comes to serving public servants, follow the rules. Because if you break any one of them, you eventually, you say, oh, you didn't hear anything again. The person is still serving. The person is, why? We didn't follow the rules. And you said it at the beginning, through lawful enforcement and preventive measures. So we try to be thorough with these things. You don't want to get a case done and then it's thrown out tomorrow on appeal because you didn't do one or two things you're supposed to have done. So that's just what I can say about this.
Okay, let's talk a little more about your process now, since you've been talking about that now. So I'd like to find out, because it appears as if some of your approaches are a little reactive. somebody was found to have stolen, and then we go after him after we receive petition or after we have carried out our investigation. What do you do, or what are the mechanisms in place at the ICPC to really prevent some of these actions from happening?
Wow, that is just the main thing we are doing these days. We are doing, when you are doing proactive things, it doesn't seem as if you are doing anything, okay? When we are being proactive, we are doing system studies. We are studying the system. We are looking at preventive measures, ways to bridge the gap. Okay, give me an example, what we are doing in the budget, in our budget these days. If you read the news recently, you see that we are working a lot in that open treasury portal, finding out a lot of things, restraining money from filtering away, okay? So it is these preventive things. It doesn't make news. Why doesn't it? Because nobody is immediately indicted. Nigerians don't want to hear that. So it is in the process of doing this proactively, you are trying to close the gaps, looking for where they are.
Thank you.
Welcome, sir.
Dr. Aliyu, you're welcome. We can see you. I'm going to, yeah, I can hear you. Just hold on a little while.
Let me just round up what I'm saying. So it's in the process of doing these preventive measures, then we find some specificity. That is where we are proactive. We don't wait. We don't just wait.
On the eye of the road. In
Dr.
I just muted him.
Allow him to speak so he can,
okay,
now that his network is strong, he can speak now.
Okay, Dr. Wamako. Hello, Dr. Wamako.
Are you with me? Are you hearing me?
Good morning. I can hear you now.
You are hearing me, right?
Good morning. Can you
good
hear
morning.
me?
Yeah, good morning. How are you doing?
Fine.
Good morning, sir.
Yes. Honestly, I am glad to be part of this discussion, but the unfortunate situation is I am on the road, and my little contribution maybe before the service went off. If I'm to speak on the basis of your topic, we are all Nigerians and we know what is happening. Hello?
Yeah, you can hear you. Go ahead.
Very good. And recently we are aware of what the federal government signed and, signed with our Attorney General of the Federation, Malemi. He went to Dubai and he signed some sort of pact between Dubai government and Nigerian authorities. The issue is that anybody owning a property in Dubai now, before you can sell it out, you have to get a letter from the embassy. Maybe, I don't know whether you're aware of that. You have to get a clearance from Nigeria first before you are able to sell those properties, because all their properties has been maybe taken over by the government of Dubai. And you see, it is not enriching Nigerians. It is we are only getting poorer by the day, because we take a lot of hard-earned resources that some people stole and put them in Dubai or any other place in the world. And at the end of the day, you who stole this money, you didn't benefit, your children didn't benefit, your grandchildren didn't benefit. So it's an issue of loss all round. By the time we realize this, it is already late for us now here in Nigeria. But all my contribution with this topic is, I feel the government of the day, as they are willing to fight corruption, let them expose the names of the people who are having properties in Dubai, so that the Nigerians will be able to know who are those people that stole this our money to any other place in the country. This is my written contribution. Thank you so much. I'm getting into the occasion. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Wamako. I really would have wished that you are able to answer one quick question. I would like to know what your organization, Redan, is doing together with ICPC, because Mrs. Ogugua talked about collaboration and partnership. And I would like to know whether Redan has any kinds of, or you are trying to have some partnership.
Yes, we have. We had a collaboration with SCUMO. SCUMO is an arm of EFCC, and they are mandated to check, money laundering and terrorism, which we believe most of the monies that goes is on the properties, either here in Nigeria or outside. It is on this basis that we now collaborate with them. Before you become a member of Redan, you must get a certificate of SCUMO. If you didn't get certificate of SCUMO, we will not register you as a Redan member, so that we will make sure we are able to sanitize the situation. And that is exactly what we are doing. SCUMO has given us a strong indication of this partnership. Even the last time when the International Monitoring Organization came into effect, we are the only self-regulatory organizations in Nigeria that we were given, a passport, because the risk involved in the housing sector is about 80% of risk being involved in terms of money laundering and terrorism. So it is on this basis that we were able to, secure this partnership with them and make sure that every other Nigerians who wants to register with our association Redan must have certificate of SCUMO. That means he must have a clean bill. And we are also partnering with them because we believe there are a lot of people who are being duped by some fake developers. And in that note, we wanted to make sure that at least our self-regulatory association will be able to, pass out all the quacks that are in the build industry.
And lastly, I would like to help us understand, how much do you think Nigeria is losing, or how does ownership of property in Dubai, how do you think it's affecting Nigerian property market?
You see, the issue is that people believe to say their own country is not good because we didn't arrange it. And why? Because we are stealing all the resources to other countries. If we have put all the resources we have in Nigeria together, believe me sincerely, there is no country in the world that is better than Nigeria. We have all it takes as a nation. We have the resources, different kind of mineral resources. We have the human capacity. We have the land. There is nothing we don't have, but it is just we are not serious. We believe another country is better than our own. Instead of us to stay here and salvage it together as Nigerians, we always believe that we can make another living somewhere else. Everybody is thinking about his own family. We are all self-centered, and that is the problem. So the problem is all around. It is not limited to one person. It is to every other Nigerian, because this is a phenomenon that is just like this pandemic. Believe me sincerely, COVID-19 is not as bad as what corruption has done to Nigerians. Believe me sincerely. What COVID-19 did is that we are being compounded to stay together and so many things. But the issue is corruption has eaten deep into us. And this corruption, most of the people that are opportuned, to lead in governance or whatever, they feel if they stroll from the government and go to outside the world and make their investment by buying houses there, if there is any problem in Nigeria, they can leave Nigeria and go there. Most of them died here in Nigeria, or they died there. They end up paying all the, the ticket, to carry their corpse back to the country. All these things is a loss to us. So that, I think, is my view. Thank you. I think I have to go in now.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Amako. It's very...
Hello?
Thank you very much. Thank you for your thought. We appreciate your time.
Okay, thank you.
When Dr. Amako talked about illicit flow, I don't know whether ICPC and whether you would like to talk about
I didn't hear what you said last.
He was talking about the arrangement between Nigeria and Dubai government. To ensure that anybody who wants to own property in Dubai get some kind of certification?
Yes, if you want to sell it.
Yes. Before you can sell your property in Dubai, you need to get approval from Nigerian government or Dubai government. And I want to ask whether you know any of that and whether you can speak to that.
Okay, I'm not personally aware of that. I think it's a welcome development. I'm not personally aware of that, and I believe that our officers on the field in asset recovery will know all about that, because we have a committee again that has to do with asset recovery, to which Nigeria belongs to. I think maybe we can mute ourselves, because I'm not hearing. I'm having a lot of.
Yes, I have muted Dr. Wamaku now.
All right, thank you. So I want to say that I'm not aware of that, but I think it's a very welcome development that that provision is in place, because it will help to expose people. But there is an expression that Dr. Wamako used, which I liked. He said government should reveal those that have the assets. You see, when it's coming from government, it means government have done the due diligence. But when it is exposed by the media, again, with all due respect, it will be seen as a media trial, and that this person is just brought up to be embarrassed. Okay, so when if the government using any of the anti-corruption agencies does the same thing as you have done, probably they will hear about it when we are in court. You will hear ICPC arraigns so and so person. Okay, that is how government exposures are made. But if it is not done that way, it will be, oh, well, they are just persecuting me, it's my political enemies, and it might be so for all that we know, because we can't place a motive to that. So we have to allow government to do what government should do. And that is why it is very important that working with civil society and the media, they should let government do what government should do. Because any other way you do it, it will not get the result you want to. You can name and shame. That is very good. Yes, but at the end of the day, it doesn't have any enforcement powers behind it. That's why I say we emphasize that lawful enforcement. Because by the time we do the same investigations as you have done, the only way it can end up is either we say we didn't see enough materials to establish a prima facie case, or we arraign the person, and so we meet in court, and that's the way it should end. So it's not a matter of being politically motivated or being sectionally ethnic group. It is just facts speaking for themselves before, of course, an impartial judicial system.
Well, if I quickly add to that, Section 22 of the Nigerian Constitution gives the power to hold the powerful ones accountable. That power has been in the media. And I think the idea of investigating those who we think might be dipping their hands in the public tilt, it's part of the job that is required of the media. I just want to put
right. I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you. And that is why we are doing this together. You know, that is part of that holding government accountable. And that is part of what we do in ICPC. I've been in ICPC for a long time. And every time they say, get media partners. You need media partners. They will point you in the right direction. They will let you know where to go. They will also help to take your message further. They will help to tell the people to hold the government accountable. They too, they will hold the government accountable. I like what is going on in the social media, on the social media platforms, where you see members of CSOs, and especially those that are media focused, tracking projects, government projects. We have many of them on our team. So when they do that, they come on Twitter and tweet it. Say this project The money was voted, 50 million was released. Senator, this, tell us the status of this. That is the work of the media, holding the government accountable. I see it, I admire it, I love it. And that is exactly why we partner with the media. But I'm just trying to say that we also recognize the limitations of that, and that is why the partnership is very important. And this is why I'm saying, at this level, you have done a lot of investigative work with these Dubai properties. Then the next thing to do is hand it over to the people who will take it to logical conclusion. If you stop where you have stopped now, nothing will happen. Maybe sometime we will get around to it. EFCC will get around to it, because they seem to be the ones mostly in this. So when they get around to it, a few people will be taken to court. But it is only at that level of being in court that we see convictions. And then there is punishment, which is what everybody wants to see, that the guilty are punished. They don't get away with it. So when that's the way to give a closure to some of these cases. And you can't do it just alone. That's where the media should cut the government partnership to, so that we take all these cases to their logical conclusions.
You can be very sure that we're going to do that when we are done with all the investigation. Okay. And you must also know that the ICIR, like I mentioned earlier, it's a member of the steering committee and the CPTG set up by the ICPC. So we've been working together as partners, and we'll continue to do that. Before Dr. Wamako came in, I think you were making a point about ICPC being accused of reactive rather than proactive.
Yes. Yeah, I was speaking to our preventive and proactive measures. Well, being that we have a three-pronged mandate, some people say two, because it's enforcement on the one side, sanctions and all that. Then on the other side, prevention, public mobilization, education, and all that. Being that we have that mandate, usually nobody needs a petition to do preventive work, right? You don't need to wait for anything to get into a system and examine it. Whenever we do this preventive work, we don't need permission. We just tell you we are coming here, we are not investigating anything, but we want to check your systems and check for loopholes. That was why we're able to do a lot of work in the port sector and get a lot of things achieved. Recently, the current administration launched the Port Service Support Portal, and they launched the Port Manual. I'm not getting the name correctly now. The Port Manual, which is something that has to do with the standard operating procedures of all the agencies in the ports being harmonized in such a way that any foreigner who wants to bring a ship to Nigeria, bring in some goods, we look at it and say, okay, at this stage, I do this, do this, do this. And if I have a problem, I can call this person, call this person, call this person. It was launched with all the fanfare, okay? With the vice president launched that last year. Now, what happened about that? We started a system study. We did a corruption risk assessment of the port processes in 2013. And this is what is still evolving. Preventive measures take time, but it does a very comprehensive work. So in the course of doing preventive work, you see where loopholes are, you block them, but you now see serious infractions, definite infractions. You flag it, it is investigated, it is prosecuted. You don't leave it. Though it is not the same team that is doing the prevention that will do that. If the preventive team goes in, when they notice an infraction, they write. They notify the commission to take it up. And so enforcement team comes in. And so there are so many sting operations that people arrested in the ports because it was done in collaboration, not just with the port agencies. It was done in collaboration with many of the customs, for instance, immigration, IMASA, Shippers Council, which is the ports regulator and all that. So a lot has been done. And nobody will know that this thing started in 2013. And it's still on, this is 2021. We are still talking about it. So it's when you are proactively doing something, nobody looks at it, but it raises a lot of dust. And then we go after the few. Because if you spend all your energy running after the few corrupt, I'm saying few corrupt in quotes, because usually corruption, of course, is not openly done, it's secretly done. So the few that you can get, when you're spending all your energy and your resources going after the few corrupt, you miss out, because you can only get, you can only catch the thief, but you might not recover the resources. So we try to do both. Sometimes in the process of doing something, we get ourselves forfeited. You might not even get a conviction. So we go with, we chase a non-conviction based asset recovery, also with all our energy. So we stop you from enjoying the loot while we are still taking you to court. But so far as you cannot justify that the loot is yours, you will lose it and it's returned to government. So there are many ways we are doing this thing, and it's not easy, it's not one way. It's very exciting, it's very rewarding work, because you see, every day the outcome of this thing. Some people are getting sanctioned, the system is getting better and tighter, and things are being done better. They are the forum with directors of finance and accounts of federal MDAs. Our chairman said something. He said after this session he's having with them, that honestly he's going to take up anybody that is caught falling foul of those budgets, trying to manipulate or be creative with the budget, no matter how little it is. He made a statement that was very, very apt. He said, Nigeria cannot survive if we keep on going this way. We cannot survive it. The way funds are being siphoned out of the country from the budget and all that. So it's just the same way. We just tell people, oh, we are coming to see the system, stop doing this, it's wrong. But if you keep doing it, we will catch you and we will not spare you. Even if you think, oh, your own is very small. We use it as an example for the big people.
I heard you when you say, yeah, the system is getting tighter and things are getting better. But that appears to be a contradiction to the general opinions of the Nigerian masses. What do you say to that? Because many Nigerians still believe that the corruption has even gotten deeper now than before.
Yeah, you see, a lot of things are happening. When things happen, we have the benefit of the phones, the technology now. We see things that we were not seeing before. So when things happen, it's easily exposed. It doesn't mean that it's just new. It means it's coming out. And I believe that when you have an open sore, it's easier to treat than when you have a hidden wound. So many Nigerians think things are getting worse because a lot of issues. Look at what COVID did to all of us. COVID showed us that our health sector had many serious issues. But it's like from time immemorial, everybody had known that, but nobody could say what is wrong. But with COVID, we now saw our hospitals were really not well equipped. We are talking about what they call it, ventilators and all that, and we don't have them in our hospitals. We have always known that there was a fault. ICPC, since it started doing corruption risk assessments, since 2009 or thereabout, we have always focused on health, education, and water resources. So now we focus on health, education, and agri. Why? We want to touch on those things that touch the masses. So now COVID has just brought it to the fore, but it doesn't mean that it wasn't there before. Look at what happened during all the campaign, all the fallout of the lockdown and everything, the NSAS and all that. It brought out a lot of things. It's not that they were not there. So all this is to show us that things are, when a wound, like I said, is a proverb, an open sore, you can easily clean it and know it will heal. But if you don't even acknowledge that a sore exists, then that's where there's a challenge. So I think I believe seriously that things are getting better. I'm seeing, from what I see in ICPC, the work we do from when we started till now, I can tell you things are much better than when we started.
Okay, as we are rounding up, I'm going to ask you, I mean, you've talked about several things that you are doing and it looks real and believable. And I would like to also ask you to speak to the challenges that you face in doing all those things.
Challenges, you don't want me to start with challenges, do you? That will be an unending list. Okay, challenges are myriad. There are plenty, a full ground. Funding is a major one, but that is everybody's cry in Nigeria. Nobody is funded the way they want to be funded. So you have to make do with what you have to achieve what you want to do. We are getting some funding, development partner funds to assist us in this area of prevention. Staffing is another problem that ICPC has. In the whole of Nigeria, we are less than 1,000 staff, officers and men of ICPC. So when you are talking about all these things we are doing, we are less than 1,000. We are only in 15 states. And you can imagine how our entire investigative arm, I don't think they're up to, I think they may be the most, maybe 300. Okay, so we have a major staffing issue. And when we tried to recruit last year, COVID came and we were asked to stop. So if we are even going to start again, we'll start from where we stopped, but the ban has not been lifted. So staffing is a challenge. I think if I can go on and on because there are limitations of capacity in some of the areas. When you are talking about, like, we saw the report of illicit financial flows in oil and gas, in taxation, there are the limitations of capacity. But in my own area, let me talk about one of my limitations. Maybe ICIR will help us. Because I work mostly in the area of public engagement, you know, this issue of developing content for social media, you know, for children, all these animations and all those things, we also need capacity. So we are doing a lot. If you know how stretched out we are, but we don't always have the capacity, so we improvise. Sometimes in some areas, we just roll with it. And then getting the public buy-in. Recently, we launched the National Ethics and Integrity Policy. The President approved it. We proposed it and it was approved by FEC, and the President launched it. You know, the core values of people, Nigerians are very skeptical, nothing good will come. I'll be like, if you talk like this, you will even kill yourself. Because Nigerians are like, no, we are all bad. You are bad, or me, I'm not. I can't speak like that about myself. So I don't want to speak like that about my country. So that skepticism is very, very hard to break. Where the people you are even trying to help think the situation is impossible, that it is impossible. You know, we say you didn't mention our vision. Our vision is a Nigeria free from all forms of corruption and corrupt practices. This you're talking utopia, and it's not possible. So Nigerians are telling you that it is not possible, that people must be corrupt. You know, I think that is my majorest, if there's any word like that, challenge in fighting corruption in Nigeria.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing that you're able to articulate that, because many people are listening and you don't know who might actually come to your head. The point you noted about your department is also noted, and whatever we can do, you can be sure that we'll extend it to your department. But what do you say to some of your staff as well, who are being accused of also being corrupt? Because to catch a corrupt person, you have to be above standard yourself, like Caesar's wife.
Yeah, we don't have any challenges with disciplining our staff. It's not of any pride to us when we have to discipline our staff. It's actually an embarrassment. It's actually a painful experience. But actually, if you go on our website now, you see one of our staff on the wanted list. Okay, we discipline ourselves. We self-regulate, like Alhaji Wamako said. We try to. Okay, so there are different levels of discipline for different infractions. So, you know, when people say, oh, these people, they take bribes and everything, just prove it. Just show us a case, just alert us so we can actually come and get the person in the action. That person is gone. That person is not just dismissed from staff. That in fact, the punishment is worse than that of normal people. So we are harder on ourselves than on outsiders. And I have to say, every staff of ICPC knows that this is not a place you come to make money or chop. You are to do, if you cannot cope, live quietly. That's a new expression I learned from a new app Clubhouse. Leave quietly. Don't stay. So a lot of people have left, but a lot of people just check it, terminated and dismissed for one infraction or the other. So we are harder on ourselves than on outsiders.
Thank you very much, Mr. Azuka Ogugua. I didn't expect that we were going to even spend this long because other people didn't join us, but we were able to have some very good conversation for that long. I really thank you so much for.
You're welcome, sir. Thank you for having me. Thank you for inviting us. So we'll come whenever we can. I wish others were here, really. I was looking forward to learning a lot from all the others, and I learned a lot from Bolaji Owasanoye already. So, but I understand the situation in EFCC with the new boss and changes. So they have to step up.
Thank you very much. We hope when we call you again, you are also going to oblige us.
I hope so too.